Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dropped Frames. My name is JP McDaniel, joined by the rest of the guests, and our host, rather, and our special guest from GameSpot, from the internet. Is there anywhere else, Danny? From Ireland?
Ireland, I guess, which makes me feel extra bad about the fact that I'm the only fucker who didn't put a green background on.
Well, I think we do that. We alienate all of our guests right from the start because, I think there's been, how many now? 4 people without it, I think. I think only a couple, like 2 guests. I think Bacon had one, Bacon Donut had one, and Cobalt had one. I think everyone else is not, so you're fine.
Well, Patrick's Day is next week, so I appreciate you guys going that extra mile for my people.
There you go. There you go. Exactly. Well, cool. Let's talk about what we've been up to. Didn't have a show last week, kind of. We had a show on Sunday at PAX East. That VOD will be posted tomorrow, I think, because I don't want to put up 3 hours of Drop Frames content today, but I do have it. It's already been rendered. It's already uploaded and all that stuff. I'll just live that tomorrow. But we've been across the U.S. Danny, you were at GDC. The rest of us were at PAX East. I was at GDC briefly. I got to go watch. Did you guys watch that NVIDIA conference at all? Did you guys check that out?
Mm-mm.
So they announced like the third Shield product in their product line. This one's a set-top game box thing that pulls from the cloud. It's okay. It's all right. I felt bad because they brought in like Resident Evil. That's how they kept referring it to Resident Evil on the on like the big thing on the keynote. And
is it like a knockoff of Resident? Is it like when they make fake Sony products called Sony?
Yeah, like he said it twice, and I kind of like, or he said it first time. I was like, okay, that maybe it's just, and then maybe he didn't. He was just reading, right? He's gonna get it the second time, like 3 seconds later. All right, let's check out Resident Evil. I'm just like, no. They took a shot, right? So the thing with like the cloud gaming thing is that it's always had latency with it, right? So that's what everyone is waiting to see. He pulls up, aims down the crosshair, takes a shot. You see the animation, and then like 3 seconds later, you hear the like, doo-doo, and it like goes like that. So they haven't fixed that at all. It was super cringy, and that's all he did at GDC was go to that. So.
That's all you did at GDC?
Yeah, NVIDIA flew me out to shit on the conference. I did it,
Great.
And then I flew across country to go to PAX. But you were busy doing GameSpot stuff. You checked out all the VR things.
Yeah, it's like this dumbest thing in the world. It's like a block from our office here in San Francisco. So like we travel all the time to all these events like you guys do. But this one is just like, it's on our doorstep. So you just wander down the road and like go to a bunch of panels or whatever. But probably the coolest thing I saw was, I'm a big Oculus fan. I didn't get a chance to have a go at the Valve one, but I used Sony's Project Morpheus, and it was super impressive.
It was good?
Yeah, it was, first of all, like I've only now realized how heavy the Oculus is, because it's like just this big thing stuck on the front of your head. The Sony one like distributes the weight around the back, and it's not wireless, it's got that big wire, and I think a lot of the sort of the movement sensors are done via the camera, so there's less tech in there as well.
Right.
So it's a lot lighter, but also it was fun enough just using it with a controller. But I'm like I think the only person in the world who liked the PlayStation Move. Like Sports Champions and stuff was decent fun, but there was never any good games for it. But I did the London Heist demo they have, where you're basically holding 2 of these dumb little glow balls.
Yeah.
And there was this demo of the London Heist. We were basically like opening drawers and like picking up guns and like loading magazines into with the Move controllers, and it's fucking brilliant. Like it's like the first time you used Oculus, and you're like, this is insane. The only problem is that you have to like restrict yourself to this box, because I was like, at one stage you're sitting on a chair in a demo, and before we did the demo, the Sony guy was like, oh, don't worry, when you stand up I'll pull the chair away, which you're not going to get your significant other to just constantly be there on chair management.
Right.
So, VR isn't perfect, but that was a really cool demo. I really enjoyed it.
Does the Morpheus have so like with the Valve VR thing, they have the lasers set up in the room. Does Morpheus have the IR sensors on the front, or how is it like seeing where you're at in the room?
It's basically the same way the Move worked, where it was like a big ball, and then the camera is able to pick up the distance from the television. The Morpheus has about, I think it was 5 like big blue lights on the front of it.
Okay.
So the other thing was, we did the demo in the darkest room in GDC. So who knows what this like the move worked in daylight fine, like you could have it with the curtains open, that was all good, but like obviously they had it set up so it'd be zero problems. Like who knows if you bring one of these things home if it works during the day, but
Sure.
In the perfect setting it worked really well, like impressively well. I was like ducking gunfire and like shooting over the top.
Zeke, Co, do you guys have any interest in VR at all? Like where are you at in the VR world?
I played a couple of VR games like when it was just in its burgeoning stages. Like I played a Pac-Man VR game at the Seattle game place. I can't remember. It's huge. But I played a little bit of that, and I'm just really reserved on VR because it's not what like you really want it to be. You want to be like Lawnmower Man, like you can throw yourself into it, like you feel like, like you can take a hit and like something like reacts, like you wear a vest or something that reacts on your body, like oh god, it hit me, stuff like that. But I'm just as jacked about it as anybody. But I'm waiting until it's like, everybody's like it's perfect. Wow.
Probably gonna be waiting a couple years then. I gotta say.
I know.
Co, any interest on your your side? As I lose my voice.
Well, first of all, before I keep talking, let me just say, for those who don't know,
dead.
PAX Plague, yes. So I'm
Jesus.
not going to be talking too much today, but we're here. That's something, right? But anyway, with VR, the big thing these days is every time I see a game, the first thing I think is, how am I going to stream this? What's this going to be like on my stream? And when I look at VR games, I get kind of concerned because without having any kind of chat overlay and without really all the tools, it's one thing to watch a guy on a webcam, while he's talking to you and interacting. It's another thing to have like a picture of some guy like in a room going, whoa, like in his little VR. Now, granted, it'll be, kind of gimmicky and fun for a little bit, but I don't know what kind of longevity that would supply without having, real solid overlay options inside the glasses, which if they were to come out with that, then I would, consider using them a lot more. But I haven't even heard anything about that yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much. I'm probably zero. They probably have zero input when it comes to actually streaming that stuff.
There's loads of problems with that on our side as well, trying to cover those games.
Yeah, it's like you just put a camera on someone, and they just walk around.
You get those like those like bubble screens where you got both eyeballs.
Yeah,
that doesn't really approximate. Like what I love to see for Twitch streamers would be the ability to put on your Oculus and just like go on there, like get the feedback that the streamer has, like just their viewpoint.
Yeah,
which is pretty fucked up. But like, it'd be kind of awesome
weird.
Just to like have that, maybe like have a mic set up or something. But it's a big problem. Like, it'd be crazy.
For people with motion sickness, what that would be like? You're sitting there, so your world is just like going all over the place, and you're sitting still.
I don't know how you'd solve that. I don't know how you'd solve any of that.
Imagine about like what I think about all this VR stuff. It's like think of all the like really messed up ways or like the kind of interesting ways. Like if somebody's bedbound, like if somebody's sick, like you're just back from PAX, you want to stay in all day, or like somebody who's got like some sort of physical problem where they can't leave their bed or their home, and then there are just these people who wear like webcams, like Google Maps cars with balls on their heads that just walk around, and everyone else puts on the VR headset, and they're like having this experience of outdoors. Like there's all these weird ways.
That would be weird.
Yeah.
That would actually be. I'd be into that if everyone was like connected to like PlayStation Home or some bullshit, and like everyone loaded into the same world.
Danny, you just came up with an amazing idea: virtual tours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People could walk around like major landmarks. You go on a tour of Europe from your living room, and it's just one dude with one of these cameras on his head, like driving between different places. You'd actually be like able to look around, follow, and that'd be really interesting.
That might be an entire industry, dude. If you think about it, like just you hire someone to go, like who's in a city, and they just wear like this fucking camera or some shit, and they just walk around the city, and you ask them you tell them where you want to go.
You hire people to murder people.
There you go. That's a movie right there.
Take it a step further. Think if you had like a joystick-like controller that could tell the person which direction to go. So you're sitting there like leading him around with an Xbox 360 controller, looking around and doing things.
With like shot collars on their arms and neck and stuff. Like, go right, okay, I'll go right. Jesus, God.
The faster, if you hit A repeatedly and it shocks him over, makes him move faster. It gets the little thing going. Yeah.
I'd be into it. I'd play it.
Balls in their head like running through Milan. Like,
and then obviously just porn.
Yeah, porn. Yep, that's. I think that'll be the biggest market as usual with anything, but with VR, I think porn's going to be like leading technology per usual. So,
well, how many breakthroughs have been done in the name of porn? Like,
almost every single internet breakthrough has been porn.
Well, no, here's the thing.
Well, not only that, but like videos and cameras and
Blu-ray
stuff. Like all was like, how could we get sex on this?
It's not so much which ones have been designed that way; it's which ones admit to being designed that way.
Yeah.
The answer to the first one is all of them. Every technological increase at any point has been for the purpose of porn in some way or form.
Isn't it like? I remember seeing a movie about the people that invented, like people from the porn industry that created the first like credit card readers on the internet, so you could like buy stuff, and that's how it was created. Like all all transactions on the internet are able to occur because someone from the porn industry wanted to charge $2 to see some tits. Like that's
thanks, you jizz.
That's all it is. It's actually insane. It's actually insane. I wish I could remember that movie. Someone in the chat would probably. Yeah, Middlemen. There you go. That's the name of it.
Wow.
Someone in the chat already got
So,
it.
at one point, we had to get the hookah across town, so they had to make a vehicle. They called it a car.
Yeah. You know, that's how it starts. That's how it started.
And then we had to get into France, so they made the plane.
Yep.
Yeah, the Wright brothers and Ford are all in on it.
Yeah. Exactly.
They're all porn freaks.
I want to watch the movie again. That's a good movie. Did you get a chance to check out the?
Oh wait,
what?
If we could before we continue, I don't know. I might be the only one in chat or in the entire internet that is not specifically sure why Danny O'Dwyer. Everyone just loves him. Like seriously, I was like, they're like Danny O'Dwyer.
Irish accent.
Should I know him? Should I have his balls in my hand?
Because that's the thing. Like, I guess I exist outside of your guys' like field of influence or field of interest probably as well. Do you want like the super condensed version of my weird job?
Yeah, give me the short version.
Okay.
I work for that site, GameSpot.com, which is
Nice
basically.
plug. I like the sign button. That's perfect.
That's how I get to spend.
Is that mandate from GameSpot?
No, it's just I'm in this really nasty room, so like otherwise it's just great.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I work for GameSpot, like IGN or like any of these sort of old. It's weird to think of them as old, but they're old, kind of old, traditional games prize. It's been around since '97, and basically it's a site where we cover games. We cover a breadth of games off PC, console, the whole shebang. And predominantly we work in video, not usually live stuff, but mostly on-demand stuff. And obviously we review games, we preview games. And that's basically it. It's a group of maybe like 15, 20 video and editorial people who put together a bunch of content. But it's, like I said, it's mostly not live. It's mostly on demand. But we certainly do some of this stuff every now and again. And that's basically my job. It's kind of not totally dissimilar from what you guys do, but obviously there's an immediacy with you guys that we don't have. Everything we do is kind of produced and put out, whereas you guys, there's like a sort of direct communication with your audience.
And you're like a personality there.
Yeah, so what I do mostly is host video shows, host our event coverage, produce shows about specific games, and then I do reviews from time to time. So I did the review for Hotline Miami 2 on GameSpot a couple of days ago.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, it's for me. It's I know the content, but I don't know the names behind the content. Like
it's kind of how it's always been in like game journalism, to be honest.
The list like for the day at PAX was like Ken Levine. Everyone's like Ken Levine. And I was like, I didn't know the name. I knew the product, but I didn't know the name. And they're like, yeah, BioShock, that's him. I went,
yeah.
Wow. Why would you admit to that on
No, it's because like the product is what I enjoy, you know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I've been to GameSpot.
So jelly of that, dude.
Yeah, I'm still pretty pissed off that you got to hang out with
Steve,
Ken.
I can't believe that, man.
No, but that's the thing. Like I know the like GameSpot. Of course, I know GameSpot. I know IGN. I know all that shit, but I don't know like the names behind it because it's what the product I consume rather than and
that's kind of the way the way in which you guys are so different to us is that like you are the product. You know what I mean? Like a site like ours, which has that many people, it's almost like a sports team or something, and there's so many different people involved. And I guess like Giant Bomb, who are just across the hall from us, we're both part of like the CBS Interactive. They're kind of the middlemen because they're like a way smaller team of personalities that people know. Like they fill out PAX halls and stuff, but then they also largely do the work we do. They cover games, just they tend not to do as much writing as they used to and we do. So yeah, it's weird. It's like I probably have more Twitter followers from doing random stream. I used to have a show called Random Encounter. I used to stream for years. Since I moved to America about 18 months ago, I haven't done it. But like that's the way in which people sort of grab onto individuals, I guess, now in terms of games coverage. That's cool. Like I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's better than it used to be, certainly.
Danny, you have people in chat asking you to bring back Random Encounters. Right? So can you tell us a little about that? Why did you stop? Are you planning on ever bringing it back?
I guess this is probably to do with the what it's like working for a company like this. We used to do, I was kind of, when I started, one of the first people to start doing live stuff on GameSpot in terms of like what you guys do, like playing it sort of for like an hour and two every night or whatever. And I worked on US time is when I lived in London. And Random Encounter was one of the products that came out of that, one of the shows. And it was basically a game where I played a random old game. And I love old classic PC games, so I used to play a ton of those ones. But then eventually GameSpot decided we were going to like pull in the more video on demand direction. So a lot of the live stuff we did fell by the wayside. So I have been actually, now that you mentioned it, I've actually been working on bringing back, not that because that's a title and everything that's got to do with GameSpot, but I play every morning. So I'm going to start doing a live show like 3 times a week from my house before I come to GameSpot, which will be in the sort of similar vein, but it won't be called that, and it won't be the same games or anything like that. But yeah, that should be starting in a couple of weeks actually. So thanks for allowing me to plug that as well.
No, by all means. Yeah,
Cool.
Zeke, we good? You understand the O'Dwyer-ness?
Yes, I get it.
Okay.
Yes. Well, hey, I'm fully willing to admit my ignorance. Just like with Total Biscuit, I was like, "You don't know who he is?" I was like, "Ugh." They're like, "You're an idiot."
Yeah. We didn't call you an idiot, Zeke. We didn't go that far.
Well, it's the same thing with like JP and you guys. Like I know your names and I've seen your streams every once in a while, but it's just there's so much now. Like before, it used to be everyone just gets like Game Informer or like OXM or whatever, or like you just go to IGN and that's where you get your review. Whereas now there's just like there's so many different ways to consume games media, and ultimately it's way better because it's made everyone step up their game. So it's a pleasure to meet you guys, and thank you so much for inviting me on as well. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
You
glad
too.
to have you here.
It's kind of interesting how similar the worlds are that we reside in, but they're almost like parallel. It's like almost it's completely different structured, places, but at the same time, we all do the same thing at the end of the day. In a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I used to do what you guys do before I was at GameSpot. Like I had my green sheet set up on my flat in London, and I ran an independent game site before sort of Twitch and maybe around the time the YouTube stuff was kicking off, but certainly before Twitch. But you guys are like in on this. Like it's such an interesting spot. Like I love just going on Twitch and picking up a random stream and going, all right, what game is this person playing who knows this 10 times more than I do? Because we cover so many games. Whereas the beautiful thing about you guys is that a lot of the times you're like experts on like specific series or genres, which is super interesting.
Super true. I think we're going to jump into a little bit more of discussion about that when we come back after the break. But going back to GDC, did you get a chance to check out the Valve VR thing? What do they call it? The Vive? The Vive? What?
I think it's Vive.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Like
it's they showed it off at Mobile World Congress, which is a really interesting place to show off a games peripheral as well. But I didn't. A couple of the folks here in the office did though. And between them and a couple of other industry folk I was talking to last week, that thing sounds insane.
Yeah, I was watching Norm and Will from Tested talk about it, and the way that they spoke about it was like the way that people talked about Oculus when it first came out, like 2 years ago. The idea that they have like the 2 lasers set up in the side of the room, and it takes it like that makes it seem completely and utterly insane how they were basically in like a holodeck on Star Trek, and like they were completely mapping out the entire room, and when you would walk it would actually like one of the things, didn't they actually just replicate the room that you were standing in? It was like a 6 foot by 7 foot room or some shit like that.
Wow, I didn't see that. I saw the 2 demos where one of them was basically a portal robot that you stand in front of, and you turn around and there's one that's like 4 stories high or something behind you,
right?
And the other one was it was like cooking or something. It was like a desk in front of you.
One. The biggest thing was that they said that for most of the VR things, they kind of just like throw people in. This one was like every single thing that they showed in succession was like building up to actually being in like a virtual reality experience, and that Valve is the only people that have done that so far. And so it really eased you in and actually got you into that whole thing rather than just like thrusting you into a roller coaster chair where you're already fucking being bombarded by a ton of different experiences that you've never have experienced before. So I really want to try the Valve thing out. From everyone that talked about it, that sounded like that right now is the leader when it comes to the whole VR
and
thing.
it's gonna be out by the end of the year. Like, that's insane. Like, the Morpheus thing I played, like, felt pretty finished, but that's not till summer 2016. Whereas this is by the end of the year. You just hope whoever gets out there first with this VR stuff, that with like commercial versions, I know Oculus has been on scene for a couple of years, but whoever does it has enough software behind it to like just start the momentum, because the worst thing that can happen is that people have a bad first impression of VR and then the whole thing just falls on its arse again.
Yeah, that's true. And it was really weird
That's
also.
not Virtual Boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. It's funny that Nintendo were the ones that like did this, what was that, 10, 15 years ago or some shit like that?
And that
Now-
stupid
now,
thing
hold
was
on.
just...
If you're talking about the Virtual Boy, though,
Yeah.
that was probably the worst implementation they possibly could have done. Like, that thing...
Well, I mean, it was 15 years ago or however long. Like, it was a long-ass time ago,
That
man.
should not have made it out of a design room. I'm sorry.
The
Like,
Mario
whole
game for that was
concept
actually
behind
decent.
Boy.
What? I'm trying to
Well,
remember
I mean,
the Mario
it wasn't
game for
it wasn't even virtual reality. It was just two screens, and they weren't even lined up properly, and it was so heavy you couldn't put it on your head, and it had one size stand you couldn't put up and down. So if you weren't the right size, good luck. You know, I mean, like there were so many things that were wrong with that product.
Mario
I
Clash.
still have one.
Mario Clash, that's what it was called. I actually enjoyed Mario Clash, but
I remember the Virtual Boy. You used that thing for like 10 minutes, and you took it off, and just because you're just seeing red the whole time, it was
it
like
was a little
everything
bit of a
was
mindfuck.
just awful. Like the one thing that still hasn't happened yet is somebody using Oculus for like to play Fallout for like 7 hours straight, or Skyrim, and then they take it off. And
God,
it's like,
I can't wait.
Like, yeah,
I remember doing my Virtual Boy, and I woke up like 6 hours later. I was naked in a field, I was covered in blood. It wasn't mine. I mean, it was a real trip.
Nintendo got it right the first time, man. It was actually 20 years ago. That came out in 95, 96. So, fuck, that's dating all of us. But anyways, yeah. Then the other thing, HTC pairing up with Valve was kind of a what the fuck left field type thing. But I guess it makes sense.
yeah, because they lost like a bunch of people. Like Michael Abrash left Valve a couple of months ago. Like a lot of the tech folk left Valve. It sounded like they were done with VR, and then they were supporting Oculus a lot in their communication. So you thought, oh, they've actually just stepped away. But I guess what happened was that they found a hardware partner that was able to do the stuff for it. HTC are actually like, it's a name that isn't too popular when it comes to phone because of how, like, I guess popular Apple is. But HTC know how to make good hardware, and they know how to make it fast. So it's a pretty good company, I think, to have them pair up with.
Yeah. Co, what were we gonna bring up?
Oh, that you just answered my question.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
No,
This is I'm showing what everyone. It also looks like the most, not space age, but it looks like the most future tech out of all the VR. Like the Oculus just looks like this big fucking dumb thing that you wear, and the Morpheus thing looks really different. The HTC one, I think it looks good. I don't know if that's going to be final. Do you know if that's like the final render of the product, Danny, at all?
No, I don't know. I would imagine they'll probably tweak it a little bit. It looks right. It looks like. Do you remember Cyberpunk 2077? That trailer that came out. Right?
Yes.
Doesn't it look like that thing that she's wearing at the
put
end?
some black cables out the front, kind of going in the back, and you'd be there. That's what I was just thinking. It looks right out of a sci-fi movie. It's
I remember.
Now, how heavy is it?
I don't know about that one. Apparently, it was pretty light though. It wasn't as I'm not sure if it was as light as the Morpheus, which is super light, but I'm not sure about how it was. Because the problem with the Oculus stuff is that it's almost like a tablet on your head. Whereas I know that one's got a lot more hardware in line with it. Like, it's going to cost a fortune because they're selling it with those lasers, and maybe also with the strange little controllers, the haptic things.
They actually showed, I think for the first time, the Steam controller too. That thing looks fucking bananas. Like just two giant, just two giant like pads that are like your main forms of functionality on the controller. I'll try to pull up a photo of that as well. But yeah, like it's weird that I don't think this is going to be like the motion gaming, but it's like the next evolution of that where everyone's jumping in now. So.
At least people care about this one. It's not like 3D where everyone was like, why are we doing this?
Right. That's true. Oh yeah, I forgot 3D was the one before this.
My big question is it? Do you have to stand up while you use it?
That's a good question. Actually,
I don't actually know.
Okay, because that's the big like thing for like me being a gamer. I'm like, the reason why I play video games is so I can sit on my ass and enjoy myself. You know, it's not like, you know, if I want to get up, I'll do the fucking Wii Fit or whatever. But like for regular games, I'd rather just sit on my ass, play the goddamn game.
That's a good question, because there's some people who think that the next evolution of this stuff is those like, have you ever used one of those persistent motion things where you're like wearing special shoes and you're on those rollers? So if you run, it knows you're running, but you're actually standing completely still. Like,
oh yeah, it's true.
You just playing Skyrim and just like running for miles with a fake
like,
sword
exactly.
in your hand.
Oh my god, it's like Robot Jocks. Remember Robot Jocks, where they're like, and they made the robot.
Hell yeah, man.
I like this photo of Will from Tested. It's like the perfect VR photo with his mouth just agape, wearing this big dumb Oculus box in front of him. You'll see it here on stream in a sec. But yeah, we'll see where all that goes. Like, imagine a world where Valve comes out with their VR thing, and they're like, and it's the only place where you can play Half-Life 3.
He looks like he has a black brick strapped to his face.
He does, yeah.
Looks like he just got punched.
Yeah, those things are heavy too. The Oculus are pretty heavy, front-loaded heavy. But yeah, like if they launch this with fucking Half-Life 3, they're gonna like, that's the best-selling point of all time, right?
Could you imagine? Like, that's a game that would sell hardware. That'd be even if they just do like a Lost Coast thing where it's just like some little tech demo majigger, like, or like a Portal special version that's only like 5 levels long. Like, but it does need something just to make it worthwhile.
I would buy it. Oh my god, I would buy it. Oh, it hurts. It hurts to admit that. It's like if it was Portal or Half-Life 3, I'd fucking buy it.
Yeah.
God damn it.
How much would you spend on it?
That's what I was about to ask. What is the price point where you're out, Zeke? 500 plus?
Well, a console. I mean, what consoles? New consoles coming out, like they're 400. So the next generation is going to be 5 plus. I'd probably be out at like 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd save up and I'd get it at 7. Any more than 7, you know, I'd wait until it went on sale. Like way on sale. Like some sort of like fell off the back of the truck.
You get a refurbed one. You get a refurbed
exactly.
One. Ko, what about you? What's your price point on that thing where you won't buy it?
Well, for me, it's really funny to say this, but I would be more concerned about what I'd be missing without having it. If I could play everything that I could without it, I don't even know if I'd get it, to be honest. I mean, it's the kind of thing where, you know, I stream 10 hours a day, and I don't know how much I would really use it. If I had to pay $500 for something, I already have an Xbox One. I barely even turned that thing on.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I don't think I would really pick one up unless, of course,
Shots fired.
My Netflix one, right? But it's the kind of thing where if they made an effort to make it so like a Twitch streamer could use it, like again, if there was some kind of little way that I could get my chat to overlay on it or something, I would really look into it. But if it's really going to be that like disconnecting force that removes you from the world, and in our case, our stream, then it would be a gimmick at best for me. And I wouldn't spend a huge amount of money on a gimmick. Maybe 300. Maybe after that, I'd wait.
You bring up a good point as far as that goes. That I didn't even factor in as far as like streaming goes. Like that $700 would be so I could use it for work on it. But I totally didn't even think about like the ramifications of trying to stream it. So I would definitely scale back my price if I couldn't use it, you know, for work and shit. Like I'd probably go back to like 400 even.
Yeah,
but on that note, I gotta say, if they really did do a Half-Life 3 thing and somehow prioritized it to that device, I mean, if it really was Half-Life 3, I'd probably look at like 700 plus. And I hate saying that, but it's the kind of thing where that's gonna be massive.
Dude, that's what they're.
Let me put it this way: that game has so much reach and is so big. I feel sorry for Valve because no matter they could release the best possible game ever created. The next step in gaming, they would still get truckloads of shit for it. It will still not be as good as they've waited too long. Like there's no way they can meet expectations at this point. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's telling that a talk about VR leads to is Half-Life 3 coming out? Is like that's how big that thing is. Danny, what's your price point on it?
Yeah, it's the problem I have is like the same problem I have with Generation 1 Apple stuff. It's that like as good as that stuff ends up being, the second version is always way better. So like the idea of spending $700 on something
Point, yeah.
and then the next year having like the version 2, and guess what? That really irritating thing you hated about the first one, we fixed it. So I don't know. It's like I have to agree. If there was a piece of software there that was good enough that was going to make me feel like I was missing out. But like that's been the problem with the two new consoles is I don't think even now really there is any reason to feel like you're missing out on anything with them, because basically most of the best games for those systems are out on PC already, and VR is going to have the same issue. If like good games are coming out and they don't support VR, or if the games that only are VR only aren't really that great, then like that's ultimately what gives it its value. So I don't know. I'd probably float it around the 400, 500 mark.
Yeah.
But that's kind of dependent on there being something worthwhile to play.
Seems to be what most people in chat were saying. 300 to 500 is kind of their range. That Valve one with the amount of shit that it like the lasers and like they had something around your waist that was like for the wires all coming out of it that would run it down your back so you wouldn't get all tripped up and shit.
Wow.
There was a lot of stuff involved with it, so 500 plus would not surprise me for something like that.
Of course, if we can start doing like virtual reality porn over the internet, then
Pornhub's already working on
$2,000.
that, man. The research into the R&D team of Pornhub, who knows how fucking big that is already like, all right, guys.
Dude, why don't they already do this, man? They just combine forces, like it's like multi.
You want Valve to announce a partnership with porn?
Industries.
I was going to say announcing is the big thing.
Yeah.
I'd be baffled if porn industries have not already plugged into this on the back end. Of course, all these deals they don't want to advertise. That's
Just
the
give
last
a subsidiary, like legitimate sounding company name. That's
fuck
all you
that.
gotta do.
Screw all that. I want to see Gabe walk out onto a stage and like put his hand up and then just have the Pornhub logo right there behind him.
and not just Pornhub, we've also got UGS.
Yeah.
It's like,
and browsers and
Yeah.
you can even go to Reddit and they're more questionable areas.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, think of the advertising for that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Be crazy.
The possibilities are limitless.
Though it's really funny something Danny just said about the consoles, because I couldn't agree more. In fact, the only reason I got an Xbox One was because I was told that there was a chance I wouldn't be able to play Dragon Age Inquisition on the first day it came out, which I was huge about. So I got it because I wanted to get that 20. And then I ended up not needing it. They ended up giving me a PC key early, so I literally have not turned it on. And also got to have that PlayStation 4 because the last big game I played for that, Go Order 1866 or whatever. Yeah, that was a good
those hot
6 hours.
exclusives.
Oh my lord! But it's really crazy. I mean, the next gen consoles these days just don't have almost really anything to set them apart. Destiny, and that's about it. And most people played that for a few hours and gave it up. Some people are loving it, and that's great. But
Like, and GTA 5 is going to be insane when it comes out on the PC.
Oh,
like,
God,
that's
I
all
can't
anyone's
wait.
waiting. There's a reason why. Like, there's a reason why Rockstar.
Weren't the servers broken yesterday for the heist? They were fucked.
So bad.
I didn't even watch. I couldn't watch any of the streams, but I heard they were just super fucked.
Yeah, like that game's had problems, GTA Online, like for a while now. Whenever they've released an update and there's been any sort of load on their servers, but yesterday was a complete catastrophe. We tried to stream twice for 2 hours both times, and I think had
Didn't
about
work.
10 minutes of heists during that entire
man.
4 hour period. Yeah, it was real bad.
That sucks. I know Gold Glove was streaming it last night. He did like they did like a 3 hour long heist, and then on the parachute down for like the last mission, he splatted into the ground and died, and he just lost everything. So
That's
I
not
couldn't believe it, man. That would drive me insane.
yeah, I definitely want to check that out, that stuff out when it comes to PC. But we'll see if it actually. Like, I highly doubt that their servers are going to be up to stuff when it comes out on PC. What is that? April? Is that when it got pushed back to?
Yeah, another 3 weeks it got pushed back, I think. So.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, that was it. Anything else? Like, GDC basically turned into VRCon 2015 this year. Like, did you see anything else worth note?
Like, there used to be stuff where there would be the odd announcement, but now there are like 7,000 gaming events during the calendar year between like PAX South and PlayStation Experience. Now there's going to be TwitchCon and so on. So like, the GDC just doesn't have that like big tentpole let's announce stuff thing, especially with PAX East basically like running into it the same week. So for me, the most interesting thing about GDC is that all of the indies come in, and they come in predominantly to like network with each other, but also to like strike deals with console manufacturers, with publishers about getting their game on getting a bit more support and marketing and whatnot. So it just so happens that this week all of the indies pour into town and they all have their games. So like just a load of like interesting games that people were showing off. We had the mixed stream here on GameSpot, and IGN had a bit on Twitch as well at one stage. And some of that stuff is interesting, but largely like a lot of those games as well are pretty early, so you'll see more of them later in the year. But yeah, that's kind of what GDC is now. It's mostly like really GDC is a conference for developers, and we just kind of, you know, there's a couple of announcements that we like piggyback on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was bummed to not go to PAX East though. You guys have a fun time with that bad boy?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I mean, it was bad. I think I say that because I'm just like, God, it was exhausting. I think everyone leaves any con, and you're just like, well, not doing that anytime fucking soon. Like that was terrible, with how exhausted you get in just 3 short days. But yeah, I think generally, for me, Overwatch was kind of the biggest thing I took away from that. Like that was the most fun that I had at that event, and I think I expected to have fun, but not as. Like, Blizzard games just have this fucking thing where you play them and you're just like, yep, that was fantastic. Like, that's better than almost everything I've seen ever. Like, they have great such first impressions. We'll see. Like, there was some stuff that came out after or maybe even during PAX about the FOV that, like, the internet fucking lost its mind about. I think TB was actually the reason why. But
well, I think, like, games at conventions like that are like, here, try my pie, and they just give you the whipped cream.
Yeah.
I love this. The whipped cream is great.
Yeah.
And then you try the pie, it's like made of dirt and, you know, bugs. Like, oh, man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We talked a little bit about it on the panel, so I don't want to kind of go back over all that content too much. But, Co, you played Overwatch. Was there anything else that – we talked about that on the panel. Is there anything else at the at PAX East that you really enjoyed? That you got
probably I'm gonna say. What's the other big game that I keep raving about?
Oh, you're all about Dreadnought, which I really want to talk about.
Yes,
because I haven't played. You actually got to stream it with your team there at the event. Like, is it gonna be not competitive, but like, am I gonna want to play that game over and over and over and over? I guess. Best way to ask.
Here's the deal. I have played Dreadnought now almost 10 hours. I am still not even slightly tired of it. I do kind of see Dreadnought having the Evolve-esque, you know, after you've done it X amount of times, it is going to wear on you a little bit. But there's a couple really cool things I can talk about here. First of all...
By the way, can I show that footage? Do you care if I show your footage?
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. It's on my YouTube if you want to check it out. Right. The big thing about Dreadnought is there's 5 ships right now, each with a class, and they each have 4 abilities. On release, they're going to have 12 ships, over 60 abilities, and they're planning for more later. On top of that, the Dreadnought guys who were... Let me just say this. Greybox is a prime example of how developers should interface with Twitch. It is amazing how this development team, the lines of communication, what they've given us, how they're helping us, like... I'm excited to work with them in the future. Same way I felt about Daybreak when H1Z1 was released. They too were really kind of plugged into Twitch. But in terms of will the game get repetitive, there's a few reasons I can't talk too much about on why that's not going to be nearly as much of an issue. What was really cool is the Dreadnought guys were bringing press backstage into this little room to show them the game. So just to give you an idea, what basically happened was me and Bruisley01 were brought back. And we were talking about, you know, the game and stuff, and there were these 2 computers that were taken behind us. So, and with some press people. So they get up and leave the room. And Sean, the guy I was working with, was like, "Okay, you guys can have a seat." So I sit down in front of these computers with Bruce Lee, and we're looking at this menu system, right? And we're looking back and forth at each other like, "Oh my God, none of what we're seeing right now has been announced." And we're clicking around, and we're like, "Dude, did you see this? Did you see this? Look, you can change this. How many possible? You know, like this is amazing." While we're doing this, the door opens back up, and the Dreadnought guy that was sitting with the press looks at the screens. His eyes go wide, and he goes, "No, no, 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 no!" And he runs over, and he says, "Hit play, hit play, hit play!" And then we hit play to go into team elimination, which is what we were supposed to be the only thing that we saw there. So, needless to say, we got a little talk on the way out about how we can't talk about what we saw. But what we saw is...
but fuck it. Here, what did we see?
It's very exciting for the longevity of the project.
Okay.
That's what I will say. What we saw, if it works out, is going to be really cool. Like, really cool. And then what's even cooler is we played a game mode called Team Elimination, right? Where it's one kill. You get one life and one kill. So it plays completely differently than team, normally in Team Deathmatch, everyone's just flying around doing their thing. In Team Elimination, everyone's like a little fleet. And you guys are working together, and you're all coordinating and stuff. But when you die in Team Elimination, you come back as one of the little fighter planes that are flying around the map. So you actually get to come back as a little fighter, and you can do like loops and all these different things. You can drop bombs and fire missiles, and you can actually get kills as these little tiny planes. It's a really cool concept.
What is it?
But yeah, overall, it's a blast.
Is it 6v6? What is the this mode that we're watching right now? What?
5v5.
5v5?
5v5 deathmatch mode. Every time you die, you can pick your ship and come back as a different ship, or you can come back as the one you are. Pretty much just continuous respawning and point based.
So watching this, it seems like it watches slow. Does it play slow, or is it? Are you like okay?
But that's part of the attraction of the game. It's not a run and gun shooter. It is a tactical. You need to be planning on where you're going to be. You need to be keeping a full eye around you at all times. Every ship has 2 weapons and 4 abilities, and in some cases, if you use one improperly, you will die. Like this guy, if you see right here, or just a second ago, like that scout just sneaked up behind me, and all of a sudden my entire world was turned on its edge. I had to stop exactly what I was doing, start using abilities I hadn't used yet, fire off missiles because he was in range. Like there's all sorts of these different little encounters that go. But one of the big attractions of the game, in my opinion, is that it is slow. It's much more tactical. And that I really do like about it.
Yeah, I need to play this.
I played a couple times at South with the Coalition, and the guys that were there showing off this product were exceedingly, like, for a huge title like this, were exceedingly interactive, and they listened, and they're like, oh yeah, okay, and they're like really like oddly not what I expected out of a AAA title like that. They're like, oh, that's a great idea, and they're like taking notes. Like they were discussing back and forth. They're like, oh well, we're gonna blah blah blah, and they tell you and stuff. And I was sitting there playing the game. I was like, are you really actually listening to me? You're gonna make $1 billion off this. You don't really listen to me. I'm small potatoes.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty cool.
I would just like to say a big JP, you asshole.
What's
you
that?
show the only highlight that I missed like 30 times in a row. Did you look for that?
No. This is just a random selection of you sucking, man. That's all it is.
I know.
That's not my fault.
Damn it.
You just died again. What's going on?
So people come in my chat.
You know who that scout is? That scout was Jesse Cox. And he was kicking my ass the whole time. And we played around, and then I go back, and I was like, hey, Jesse, it's good to see you. And he turns around, he's like, you're not leaving, are you? I'm not done killing you. And I was just like, oh, well. Then I had to go back to the backstage thing. But it's a really fun game. It's a lot of fun.
And when is this scheduled to ship? Do they have a launch frame or anything like that?
You can go to, I think it's playdreadnought.com, and you can sign up for the email address, or the email list. That's the only line of connection they have right now.
Okay.
So if you're interested in Dreadnought, you go sign up for the list, and that's it.
Yeah. Wow, you just cloaked. Now I'm like super in because there's like a stealth ship. That's fucking awesome.
Oh, dude, it's awesome.
I want to definitely. I should have checked this game out. I've seen the booth. They have a massive booth at both South and East, and it looks like a lot of fun. I just never got around to playing it, but now I want to. Anything else for you, Ko, that you saw? Like, I guess indie. It's like such a fucking weird term now, but like, was there anything smaller that you saw at PAX East that you wanted to check out?
To be honest, man, this was one of the first PAXs when I had a bunch of opportunities thrown my way, and I just stupidly didn't say no to any of them. I went to PAX for every day. I didn't even get to walk the indie floor.
Really?
I was so disappointed when I left. I had like a little card that I've been keeping track of booth numbers of what I wanted to visit, like Upsilon Circuit, the 2D Dark Souls game, Death's Gambit, or something like that. Like there were so many games that I wanted to check out. I just didn't make it over there. But the 30 minutes, remember when Draw Frames ended and there was that 30 minutes left? I was just like, oh, I'll go check them all out in that time. Yeah, that worked out great.
I haven't even seen Death's Gambit yet. I like walked the floor. I didn't even see this game. This looks incredible.
Upsilon Circuit looks really cool too, if you saw that one.
That's the one where it's like that we were talking about on the panel, right? Where it's like 8 people
Yes.
in the world can only play it once, and then
Wow.
yeah, right. Like that's an fucking intriguing thing.
And it's perma death.
Yeah,
So
you
if
can't
do
play
happen to
after you
get
die.
in, and then you get killed, you can never play again. It's a process. It's a cross between a game and a game show. Like they want you to be watching it as much as you play it. And even cooler is the audience actually gets to influence what's going on in the game. They can choose like power-ups and weather and like all sorts of different stuff. So it looks fun.
Trying to pull up some footage of it really quick. It's still pretty basic, right? Yeah.
From what I understand, yeah. I honestly haven't seen too much gameplay at all.
They have like a little bit of a teaser thing.
That sounds so cool. I remember, I think it was Hideo Kojima said he wanted to make a game where when you died once, the cartridge just like wrote itself. Like that was it.
Yeah.
So that sounds like I guess the internet sort of unlocks that ability now for people. That sounds like a really cool idea.
If they can get the people, like, if they have a stream, because it's part game show, right? And maybe the game will be the streaming platform for it. But if they have a Twitch channel where you can just watch what's going on in the game like 24 hours a day, that would be really fucking cool if it blew up. If you just had like 4,000 or 5,000 people just watching these 8 idiots go at it and like trying to, so everyone can like watch how to actually play it when they get their chance, if they're in the queue or whatever. That's a really cool idea that I hope works. But it's really hard to fucking work.
I will say though that one of the things I'm really hoping they kind of realize moving forward is if they want this game on Twitch, they are going to have to make some changes. Like there's no way that a streamer could stream this game right now. The luck of getting in and then you could be in there for 5 minutes and be done with it. I mean, and you have to be watching to get in. Like there's so many reasons why it wouldn't work. Now, of course, if they were to make a parallel server set and make it just for Twitch streamers and let Twitch streamers schedule or do, if they worked with Twitch to make something that, we could play, then I'm sure we'll do a lot more of. But in the current state, I don't think it's going to have a presence on Twitch outside of an official channel to watch it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know how you show that to like reviewer or to anyone. Like, how do you just, this is an 8-player game. Only 8 players in the world can play. That's our game.
and let's go ahead and review the gameplay you're probably never going to play.
Zeke, I know you want to jump in. What's up?
Well, it makes me salivate to think like about like to get in to a game like and stay in, and if you won like that particular match, like you would be kind of a minor celebrity on the game. So it's like like the people are saying, like it's like the Hunger Games. It is. It's a lot like that. It's like 8 people enter, 1 person leaves, and that person is lauded, and we have feasts and all that kind of stuff. But I do think it would be very, very cool if they would allow like I don't know, like a bracket tournament, like March Madness for like Twitch people. I'd love that. I think that would be great, and I think it would get a lot of publicity, and I think everybody watching would have a shitload of fun watching it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know what? They can actually do that. If they had like a list of, say, 50 Twitch streamers, you knew where you were in the list, you could have it up next to you while you stream another game, and as you see it get close to your point in the list, you could then switch over to it, and like that could be that's a great idea, Zeke. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
They could definitely do that.
We'll see. I'm looking at Death's Gambit. I didn't even see this on the floor, but I'm really upset that I didn't. This looks fucking awesome.
People are calling it 2D pixelated Dark Souls, and not only
really good.
It has a mechanic that rewards you for doing the same encounter better, which I think is phenomenal. So,
like not getting hit or something like that.
Yes, like that. Or if you beat a boss, the same boss, and you have more life than you did when you beat him the first time. So, like they reward improvement.
Oh, they actually stream their game development on Saturdays at 2:30 Pacific. Interesting. Go check.
Thank you for reminding me. When I heard that, I definitely want to check that out.
Now this is Titan Souls, right?
No, this is Death's Gambit.
Death's Gambit. Okay.
Titan Souls was that. It's similar in a sense that it's like a Dark Souls type game.
Okay.
But the way that I saw it played, and I don't know if this is going to be a full game, I watched for about 20 minutes. You have 1 HP, but the monsters have 1 HP, I think. You only have 1 shot, but you can, like, find your shot. It's a bow and arrow. You can, like, have your arrow come back to you, but it's, like, very slow, kind of like Dark Souls, where everything's a little bit, like, clunky. I'll pull it up here on the screen in just a second, but Titan Souls looks really fucking fun. They said that I don't even think there's like normal small little guy fights. I think they're all boss fights, or all the monsters are like large fights. Let me pull this up here. It's already on there. I actually already have a Steam thing for it, Steam page for it. But that for me was like one of the biggest indie takeaways was was Titan Souls, just because the art style's awesome. All the Titans look rad as shit, and it looks super challenging. They were actually giving away $5 PSN credit if you beat a Titan there at PAX. So it seems super challenging.
Someone was talking to me about that. I can't remember who it was, but someone was talking to me, and like, I think it was Diction, if I'm not mistaken. He's like, I was playing that game and I was sweating, and I was like, I almost beat one, and he was really excited about it.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see how hard it is right here on the screen. You guys will see it in just a couple seconds on stream, but I definitely want to check that out. I think that's going to be a huge streamer game, just because it is like super challenging. It looks great. Skills definitely rewarded in that. It looks to be pretty fun. The other one was Guild of Dungeoneering. Did you guys check that out? Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, I played that at PAX South, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's an Irish developer, actually. When I went up to talk to him, I was like, oh.
Yeah, you're actually right. Yeah, I think 3 devs are Irish. That game seems like it could have the Darkest Dungeon effect on Twitch, where I don't even know like how to describe that game. You get cards, and you have to use 3 cards out of every 5 cards, and these cards can be places. I'll pull it up eventually. I can't search and talk at the same time. These cards will eventually be parts of a map that you put down on the ground, and that your character will automatically path to get to certain things that are on the map. That makes really
That's kind of like Hand of Fate.
Do what?
Is it kind of like Hand of Fate?
No. Like, let me just pull up some footage of it.
It's
really hard to describe.
Yeah, it's really difficult to try and explain. It's like you start off with one part. There's like an exit. It's almost like a white paper like sketchbook, and there's nothing in between. And you sort of you almost play the role of creating the dungeon, not necessarily controlling the character. You're just like placing stuff, and then sometimes you place an enemy there that you know they'll be able to kill, so they can get some XP or some extra stuff, and you're trying to get them to the exit, but you're trying to like level them up as well. Yeah,
and there is leveling stuff. Like each time you defeat, or at least the build that I was playing, each time you defeat an enemy, you get a small little equipment item, like a sword, armor, some sort of like amulet or necklace or something like that, and 2 or 3 other things, and that gives you more HP or more damage per attack. And then at the end of it, at the end of like the rounds, a boss eventually spawned, and I fought the boss. And ended up winning. You get cards, you get dealt cards in the combat scenario that, say, for example, you see his card and it says like 1 magic damage, ignores, like can't be blocked. And so then you try to do something that's just going to do more damage to him to try to get his HP more like knocked off. So there's a lot of RNG factor into it. It wasn't too difficult, but I think it's going to be like a really cool streamer game because it's the type of thing where it's just no game is the same. Like every single round that you play is going to be different from one another. And outside of like the dungeoneering, I think you build they were saying that they didn't show it. It wasn't in the build that I was playing, but they want to do it to where like you have a home base and you like build your home base depending on how you do in the dungeons and stuff like that. So I really want to see more of it. It was a lot of fun. I think Dodger was the person that got me into it and showed me all about it. It looks like a lot of fun. We'll see. They didn't say anything like release date, but I'm gonna try to get it streamed here pretty soon because it was pretty cool, and I think a lot of people are gonna enjoy it.
Do you have a copy of it?
No, I don't. But I think they're gonna send out press kits eventually.
Dude, I'm gonna get on board with this. This looks really interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to talk to the devs because I think like if you put this in front of a stream, people are gonna go crazy just like they did with Darkest Dungeon. 100%. It
absolutely.
Looks great.
But this art style, man, it reminds me of that Binding of Isaac competitor. What was it called with the girl? It used to have like the chalk. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
I have no idea.
But
it looks very similar. It looks great. It looks very cool.
It's super polished as well, because at a distance I was like, oh, that looks like an indie game. It's like a drawn thing, and you're like, it's card. And actually, like I felt like a jerk because when I sat down and played, I was like, oh, this is like a really small team, but this just works super well. Animation's great, like the gameplay. I'm sure they're going to be tweaking variables and stuff, but it just worked. And it was because it's kind of a difficult concept to try and teach somebody on a show floor, but you kind of got it after a minute or two.
I had to sit there and for 10 minutes was just like, I have no idea what the fuck I'm looking at. And then after understanding to it, and I was asking the dev a bunch of questions, like I understood it. So, and that's like Darkest Dungeon was that same exact effect when I first got my hands on it. So I can't wait to see more of that game. I have no idea when it's going to be fully released. That was on that video I was showing is on their website. I don't even think they have a Steam page. Yeah, it's just they just have like a bunch of press emails and stuff like that. So that's from is that Gamebrinus Blog Games? Is that right? Yeah, Gamebrinus. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just butchering their entire
Butcheneering.
Yeah,
Butcheneering. Yeah.
There you go. What else? Anyone see Downwell? Not Downfall. Did you see that?
I saw a little bit of Downwell, and it's very stylized, and it's a very cool idea, and it's very fast paced. I didn't get a chance to play it, but I saw the guys. I was sitting backstage while the guys were on stage, like doing a gameplay of it, and it looks really cool. It's like just a quick place platformer, and the only direction you go is down, as far as I know.
Now, is it only cell phone, Zeke, or can I? Because like when I saw it, it was on a it's on like an LCD monitor, but in what is that? I guess portrait.
Right.
Whatever vertical is, like it was a vertical monitor. So I don't know if they're gonna have like a full-on release for it.
Don't know, man.
Or if it's only gonna be mobile. Because the way it played was, I think, to like shoot, you would just tap the screen or whatever, and that would like shoot down, and that's all it is, just constantly going down. You're dodging different enemy types and things like that. Maybe someone in the chat will let me know, but I'm trying to find footage of this before we move on, because I think that's where it's like interesting is to watching the actual gameplay rather than just talking about it. But there seems to be no footage of it that I can find anywhere.
Someone said, Mr. Bean says Downwell's iOS and Steam.
Oh, Steam. Okay, awesome. It will be on Steam.
Thanks, Bean.
Kind of sounds like a reverse doodle jump or something.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Except, you don't jump. You actually like break like obstacles underneath you to get down. Like I know what you're saying. Yep, kind of like that.
Have you ever seen the doodle jump arcade cabinets they have in like arcades now? It's the most depressing thing in the world. It's like this like 99-cent arcade game. They just have like a massive iPad, and you pay like 50 cents to play a friggin' iOS game.
Oh, funny.
Here's a little bit of it from Destructoid's site. They have it in GIF form rather than a proper video. But yeah, that game looks like it'll be a lot of fun to stream. Looks super challenging too, so should be a good stream game.
Hey, Mom.
Oh, is that your mom?
How are you?
I'm doing well, Mom. How are you?
How was your trip?
It was great. Hey, Mom. I'm doing a talk show right now. Can I call you back later?
You are? Oh, okay, yeah. I'll be at home, sweetheart. I love you.
I love you too, Mom.
Love you.
Goodbye, Mom.
Bye.
Love you, Mom.
Call your moms, kids. Tell them you love
You
them.
sound sweet.
She is. She calls me in the middle of the show all the time. I'm trying to get
That's like a thing. That's not Zeke just being an idiot. It's a thing here on the show.
Yeah, and no, see, I was like, I'm gonna ignore it, and then I went, nope, it's my channel today, so bam.
Yeah. It should just be a thing. Just make it a thing, regardless of channel. Just always answer it if it's Mom, and we'll talk to her. It's an impromptu segment. I guess the last thing that I saw, kind of in the indie mega, they have like the indie mini booth too. That it's indie everything booth at PAX East. I don't fucking remember. I can never remember the name of this, but it's the defuse bomb game with Oculus. Everyone knows what I'm talking about.
Keep talking and nobody explodes.
Maybe is that? Let me keep talking, and yes, that is it. That game continues to be fucking amazing, and I want to play it so bad. You can't. It's not streamed. It seems like a party game. It seems like such a fucking obscure party game that you're probably never gonna play it. But the premise is, for those that aren't aware, a person wears the Oculus Rift, or I'm sure they're gonna go to other VR platforms in the future, and they are basically in a room. There's a bomb in front of them, right? And they're the only people that can see this bomb. The people, the friends are on the outside. I think they can either pull it up on like their cell phone, or they actually have it like PAX East had actually printed documents that have instructions on how to defuse this bomb. And so you have to tell the person wearing the Oculus Rift how to defuse the bomb, but they can't actually read the documents themselves. So it's like a game of yelling at someone to defuse a bomb under pressure. It's like the timer's ticking down, and then the people that are actually giving the information can't do it poorly, or they're just going to lose right off the bat. So it's like a super interesting fucking premise that I don't like. It's something that can only be done on the Oculus Rift. There's no other.
You feel like such a jerk doing it because you're like, oh, the bomb's got like it's got a purple side and it's got this like squiggle that looks like. Do you ever play Space Team?
Yes, yeah, it's exactly Space Team. Yeah,
it's like that. You're just shouting gobbledygook at each other, like, oh, there's 4 buttons and it's purple. Like there's 5 wires. One of them's red, one of them's yellow, and they're like flicking through the document trying to figure out like which one to cut and stuff. They start off pretty easy, but I've seen some of the more difficult ones, and it's just like insane.
Yeah, and it was exactly that at PAX. Like watching the people sit down and play this, it started off like very calm, collected. Instructions on what to do, and 2 minutes later, people were just screaming at one another, like, "Got the fucking red thing! No, that's the blue one! What do you do?" Just that type of shit. So that was one of the more interesting games I saw over at the indie thing. Zeke, did you see anything else while you were doing the hosting that was of relevance to you?
I was going to say, I actually got a lot of, well, not a lot, but I got some good exposure to some new indie stuff coming out just by being a host and having people come up and tell me about their game. Army Krog, got to look at that. It's ARMIKROG, I believe, and I think that is the claymation one. The names I probably mix up the names.
Yes, it looks claymation.
Yes, and it's a cool like puzzler. You like go over there, pick up the lever, and put it in the thing, and then open the door, kind of a thing. You gotta, but it's this. I think that what really sells it is the style of it.
Whoa, that looks really interesting.
Style stop motion claymation, like a Nightmare Before Christmas, like that kind of stuff. It's really cool to look at up close, and you can actually see, like they made all the backgrounds.
Wait, that's a game? Like what?
By hand. Like they clayed out the backgrounds and they clayed out all the figures, like by hand. And the guy was telling me, he's like, guess how many? See that dog's tail wagging? 5 hours to make that tail wag. It's just one leg motion,
Holy shit.
Got to talk to him about it. It's actually a very, very cool looking game. The gameplay didn't get a whole lot of gameplay, but it's definitely a puzzler. Like you turn on the lights and you see like something written on the background. You're not sure what it means yet and stuff like that. But I think what really sells it is the look so far.
Yeah, it looks like the main character, for whatever reason, looks a little bit like Earthworm Jim. Like that's the exact vibe I get.
By the same company.
Really?
Yes, the same guys who made this game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's probably gonna be pretty funny then.
Yep, and that's a Devolver game. I did a couple of Devolver games. Did that and Not a Hero. Not a Hero is a 2D platformer, but it's like a mix between Elevator. What's that old '80s elevator game where you Elevator Action? Is that it?
Sure.
Elevator Action.
Yeah,
it's like a mix between Elevator Action and like a softer Risk of Rain kind of a thing. You get one guy, a little guy, a sprite on like thing, and you go down in elevators and you shoot guys, and you're like being controlled, or not being controlled, but being compelled to do these things by the evil bunny overlord in a suit. And the story is ridiculous, which I kind of like. It's an absurd story. This bunny wants to become mayor, super mega lord of the world or whatever.
Nice.
And,
sounds like a Devolver game, like already full throttle here.
But it's pretty cool. You get all these different characters who have different like special moves and the different like abilities and stuff like that. It's pretty neat. What was the other game I checked out? It wasn't an indie game, but I checked out. If you're a fan of like Roller Coaster Tycoon stuff,
yeah.
I checked out Scream Ride, which is actually pretty cool. It's like Trials Evolution with roller coasters, because you get all these instead of like on a motorcycle, you're on a roller coaster. You're leaning. And you're using boost and stuff like that, and you got to complete all these different kind of like objectives every round. You can keep doing it over and over again until you get like all the check marks and per level and stuff like that. That's going to be an Xbox exclusive, which I kind of hate.
It's out already. It came out last week.
Oh, did it? Okay, there you go. But yeah, you can totally play that. The really cool thing is the like she showed me some of the user created coasters, and those are like really fucking cool. Like some of the like. You can get motion sickness from that shit, but those are the kind of stuff I played. I think there was one more, but I'll come back to me and I'll have it.
No, I think that's it. Like PAX, that was PAX for me. Like a lot of drinking per usual at these cons. Like the nights were way too long. Most of the time going to sleep around 6 a.m. and then waking up at 11.
Can I give a shout out to one indie game actually that I saw at GDC?
By all means.
You guys have mentioned a bunch of really great ones already. The one that I'm really interested for the future of is that. Do you remember that trailer for a game called Strafe? It was like the one where like the kid's friggin' head explodes and the mom is like trying to put the brain back in. So we got to play that, and it's basically Quake 2 meets like Spelunky because it's persistent. Like levels are all like randomly generated, but your character's persistent. And you basically like pick one gun to go in at the start, and that game just looks like it's got a crazy sense of style. What I liked about it, that trailer that they put out, I asked like the lead, one of the developers, there's only 3 of them, I think, or 2 of them really making it. And I asked him, like, how did you have the budget for like do this ridiculous trailer for your indie game? So it turns out the guy who's making it was a professional music video director for years and years. So kind of figures. He said the budget for that was $1,500, which is like nothing.
Wait, what? Well, I guess it was just a room, and you just need like some fake blood.
Yeah, he said it was a cherry Pepsi or something was the blood. They just sprayed it.
Interesting. Yeah, that was kickstarted a couple weeks back.
Oh yeah,
funded. Zeke, what were you gonna say?
I just want to mention this real quick because I met the dude who like was the brains behind it, and I loved him and I loved his style. Goat Simulator, I'm not kidding you, has an MMO add-on that's free, and it was a fucking Stanley Kubrick nightmare. It is amazing. Like you can pick from like they have the goat characters as like a warrior and like a magician. Like I'm talking like Houdini magician with like the top hat and like the cards and shit. But you can also play as a toast or a microwave on legs.
Yeah, I remember watching Tally play that a couple months back.
Dude, it is great. I didn't know they had an expansion for that, but I actually got to play that. And Armin, the guy we talked to, he's fucking super cool, and he knows what he made. And he's not trying to, he's not trying to bullshit you. He's like,
I wish he was though. I wish he treated that game like as his artistic vision and spoke about it in that way.
Like Warhol or something. Like you just don't see it.
Yeah.
He told me one of the funniest stories I've ever heard about game development. So when they were making that, they basically bought all of the assets off the Unity store. That goat skin was $5. It was on sale. Apparently, it was $8 skin, and they just took it. So like some dude was just making assets and sticking them up on the Unity store, and then ended up getting his goat in like a game that sold like over 1 million copies or whatever.
That's awesome.
For $5.
That's fucking Unity right there in a nutshell. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. So yeah, that was PAX East.
Using Unity right there.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have more on PAX East when our panel goes up tomorrow over on my YouTube. So check that out. Let's talk a little bit about what we've been streaming. Because I think we've all been playing a bunch of new stuff, and then we'll go and take a break. Zeke, we'll start with you, and I think Danny, you reviewed Hotline Miami, right?
Yes, I'd love to hear what Zeke thinks of it, though.
Yeah, Zeke, what do you think? I'll show some footage. I wish we could fucking play the music, but it's gonna get claimed so hard.
Yeah,
but it's the best part of the game, as far as I'm concerned.
God, I was so jacked about Hotline. I actually got to meet Dennis Whedon at PAX. And it was awesome. He was a really cool, like, punk rock dude, but he was like, he's a really cool guy. Could not wait to play it. Waited. I popped it. I installed it the minute it was available. I was a huge fan of Hotline 1, and honestly, this one does not disappoint. There are some things that I were kind of iffy about, but as far as like the gameplay, the music, like everything is like totally on point. The one thing that is missing from this, and maybe because I haven't finished it yet, I'm on like chapter 14 or something. I don't know how, and I don't want to know how far I am from the end or whatever. But I got to chapter 14. The only thing like getting up to that point that I was a little bit disappointed about was that there wasn't like on the levels there wasn't enough choices of masks that you could do. Like you got kind of locked in. Because this one is definitely more like story driven than the first one. The first one is like a loosely enigmatic story. This one has a lot more story elements in it, which I like, but I liked it how they made it loose. They made it you had one protagonist in the first one, maybe whatever. And you could choose the mask that he used, and they had different abilities and stuff like that. I did like that, but let me tell you, this one, as far as like the gameplay, it's all there. There's cool new like things, cool new like the duo that you can pick, or like the guy who wields 2 goddamn Uzis. Like you go in there and you fucking Jet or Woo first name
John Woo.
Thank you, John Woo it up. You're just like, and it's it gives you kind of a rage boner, but but the music, I will say, like absolutely, like Hotline Miami for the first one has like one of the best game soundtracks in my opinion of all time, and this one is just as good, if not better. Like it's driving, it's dirty, it's everything I wanted out of it, and I was really, really pleased with that. But I mean, I definitely I would recommend it to anybody.
So how does it work with the two thing? Like you have two people in some parts. Are you controlling both those guys?
Sort of. Now here's how it works. You control the lead guy. He has a chainsaw.
Yeah.
So you're meleeing stuff. But you can also you can't move the guy in back, your partner, but you can make him shoot. So if you target a guy, you can make him shoot with the left bumper. Like you can melee a guy in front of you. Like if there's a guy in front of you, you can melee a guy in front of you and he can shoot the guy way over there that you have targeted.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean you kind of get the hang of it. It's a little bit different from there's a couple of different control things from the first one to the second one. But you feel like a boss when you get that duo thing down, and like when you get the bear with the Uzis. Jesus, it is so good, that part. Like they should have more of those parts. I hope they do coming up.
I wish, like, can you buy the soundtrack? I would honestly rather buy the soundtrack than the game.
Yes, you can. You can buy the OST on Steam.
The first one was perfect. It seems like everything that I was watching you play yesterday, it just seems on point, just as much as the first one was. Ko, you're gonna say something before I cut you off?
Well, the first thing I was going to say is, first of all, to Zeke, there's 19 chapters and everyone dies at the end. And second, I was wondering also is with. No, I'm kidding. I haven't even played. But is this now? I didn't beat the first one. I'm one of those like lame people that felt like the gameplay got a little bit repetitive. Like but I did sit down and play it like all the way through. I don't even know how close it was to the end. If I didn't thoroughly enjoy the first one, are there parts of the second one that may make me like that more?
I would say so.
Yeah.
I mean, there's enough variation now. Like, I understand what you're saying. There is a lot of that. Like, this is definitely a repetitive. Like the gameplay is definitely repetitive. I will say that. But they ramped up the difficulty. Like in this one, like they take the gloves off immediately. First one, you're like, all right, got the hang of it, and then they're like, shit on your head, you're never getting past this, like by the second level you're like, Jesus, because they assume that most people who are going to play this one played the first one, and I did, but I wasn't expecting it to be like later level Hotline 1 difficulty in level 2. But as far as like the gameplay goes, it's mostly the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was watching you actually, Zeke, and there was this one part where you came up around a corner and there were like 3 guys waiting for you. And I think I watched it for 15 minutes, and it was just like over and over and over, and you kept getting worse and worse and worse. And you were arguing about the auto targeting wouldn't target the dogs as they were running at you. They keep targeting the guys behind them. And at one point, you just put down the controller and got silent. And I was like, oh God, what's gonna happen? Like, then you just took a few deep breaths and kept going. But,
go ahead.
So you just wait until hard mode when they get rid of the auto aim and there's about twice as many enemies. It's insane.
You know what? I think I might be okay with it because I think I might rely on auto aim too much, and that kind of stuff. Like a lot of people don't even do that, and people crap on me for playing with a controller. I play it with a controller. That's what I'm used to.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I think it's harder with the controller. I think if you can do it on that, fair play. Like I thought the mouse and keyboard is because on the mouse and keyboard you can literally aim at the people as they're coming out, but on the because the mouse it's locked on the controller.
Oh, right,
you know what I mean. So yeah, I think it's respect. I think it's harder on a controller.
Okay.
when I first watched Zeke, I didn't know about auto aim. So he cleared the floor before it, and I'm like, this guy is on point. I was like, damn, he wasn't kidding. Like, he'd come around a corner, there'd be 2 guys, he'd just be like total stone face, just boom, boom, 2 shots are both dead, and then he'd be like, all right, let's move on. And I was like, let's move on. How did you do that?
Well, a lot of floor clearing starts with melee and ends with guns. because you got to like you clear out the first little bit with the melee because you move fast and you're like, but then you got to get the guys to come to you, and then you're firing guns off to get them to come in the door, and then you're really trying to get them out of there with the melee stuff. Because I've always been like my favorite character on that's Tony, and he's melee only.
So I think that's probably like Zeke's totally on point. I think that's probably why they've stopped the mask swapping stuff, because in the first game I remember picking Tony the Tiger all the time because you could basically like silent take down perfect. You could like silently take down everyone. So the thing in this is that you're right, the story stuff at the start is laid on pretty thick, and I think you're past the worst of it. It kind of eases off, thankfully, for the rest of the game, and you've got a decent amount left. It's actually pretty long this time around. But the cool thing about them locking you into specific characters is that sort of answers the issue to you at Co, which is that like it was pretty like repetitive. Like it's still relatively repetitive because you're just running around shooting people, but you have to like now play as the dude who like only shoots guns and makes lots of noise, or you only have to play as the journalist who doesn't use guns. If you pick up a gun, he'll just dump all the ammo out and he only does non-lethal takedowns. So,
I like that aspect.
Yeah.
Like that. That was
my favorite one is there's a dude who you unlock different masks for like individual characters when you go back and play them, and I think it's like the sort of fat retired army dude. He has one of them, which is if you right click, he takes out nunchucks and does like a 20-second, and you just have to run into as many people as possible.
Oh my god, I haven't seen that yet. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's pretty because you can't stop him doing it. He just does his like routine and you just run into people as he's doing it. It's pretty good.
That's fantastic.
So it sounds
To me, the first time I picked up the journalist guy, and I was like, all right, let's grab this gun. And you hear the sound before you, like, I heard the sound before I saw what was happening. Like, he picks up the shotgun and he goes, and I was like, what the fuck is he doing? And then you look and you see like the shells flying out of the thing, and then it's broken open and it's down on the ground. And you're like, wait a minute, god damn it! But then you like grab the guys, and I'm like, all right, let's beat him. And then you just like, and you punch him once. You can keep punching him, but that's all it does. Like,
yeah,
and knocks him out. And you're like, oh, he's Batman.
There you go. There you go. Danny, you gave it a 9 out of 10. Anything that?
Yeah, I adored that game. It's funny because we don't hand out 9s on GameSpot, and I think I ended up being one of the higher reviews for this game when I looked at everyone else's. I adore that soundtrack. It's just there's so much more of it. Like they fixed the problem in the first game of it being like overly competitive. I like the fact that it's more guided. I think the story stuff's a little bit too heavy, but it lays off a bit. The soundtrack is everything about it is just more. There's like 50 songs in the soundtrack this time. And the first one's like 20. And like in terms of levels, like I think the first one I completed pretty fast in about like I think it was 3 hours 20 minutes, and this one I was about 9 hours by the time I'd have finished. Like it's just so much bigger. So I really enjoyed it. The level editor stuff has been pulled out again. In the review build that we had, there was an alpha for it, and that worked pretty cool. So hopefully, I think they're basically going to like throw it out to the community to make Hotline Miami 3 via the level editor, because I think they're done with it. But yeah. I loved it. I think if you love the first game, it's a shoe-in, and if you thought that the first game got too repetitive too quickly, I think this is where the shed. Like it's only $15 as well.
Seems to be selling well too.
It's totally worth it.
Yeah, I think they had like 80,000 pre-orders is what they were tweeting. So. Seems to be doing pretty good for him. It seems like everyone's enjoying it too, so I'll definitely have to check that out. Something a little bit more in your neck of the woods. We've both been playing City Skyline, which is basically SimCity done right. Like I think we could just stop the conversation there. Like that's 100%. That, and if one more fucking person tells me to use a goddamn roundabout, I'm done. Like that is the number one fucking thing. Is the backseaters come out and they're just like, gotta use a roundabout, man. That's how you stop all the traffic. Just put the roundabout in there, man.
As somebody who's moved from Europe to North America, that's bullshit.
Oh god.
No, I mean, Cities is fantastic. It's so much fun. It's one of those games. I mean, just like you said, there's so much more you can do to it in SimCities. Now, I have to say that I'm not generally someone who gets too, like I allow backseating my channel. I encourage it in a lot of ways. But with a game like that,
dude,
the backs can get a little crazy.
Last night, I had a point where I was just like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm done with this game for a while. I will come back to it tomorrow. It's too intense.
I mean, when you're sitting there Like, you're looking at like you can see in this thing right here, look at that bottom traffic circle right there. I have like 6 different on-ramps, 2, highways going over it. When you're sitting there trying to micromanage that and you're focused and you look over in chat and there's like 50 different suggestions and 3 of them, 30% of them yelling at you, no, you're doing it wrong. You need to do it like this. Then the other, no, they're wrong. You need to do it like, it just gets to a point where it's just kind of like, I'm just going to do it how I want to.
Yep.
Let's just all relax a little bit. And the worst part is with this game, because it's so new, everyone thinks they know how to do it.
They have no fucking clue. It came out yesterday. What are you fucking doing?
Then you actually take one of their advice and you do it, and it doesn't work at all like they said it would, and you're just like, oh, well, that was worth the 20 minutes it took to set that up, and have to
a great candidate for Twitch Plays.
What do you mean? Oh.
Twitch Plays City Skylines.
How? How would they
make
do that?
the city the way they do it? Just like take couldn't do it computerized, but take the first suggestion.
Yeah.
Like, first suggestion is build this. All right. Then the next suggestion is like, have a farm. Like they're gonna have like right on the road or something like that. I think you can build a really hilarious city with all their suggestions.
Yeah. Yeah, I was watching the one thing that was cool was like seeing all the different streamers and how like everyone's city was completely different. I was watching Renee play last night, Lower Renee, and like I don't fucking understand it because here she is with like 6K people in her town and she crosses $1 million in the bank. And I have no fucking clue what she was doing that was making her so much fucking money.
It's actually kind of interesting
about her people, unlike you.
Her name of town was the Asshole, and she had like Dick Slick Alley or just like, fuck her.
I would live there.
I pay tolls on every single road. If it were called that.
Maybe. I don't know.
To be fair though, like this game, it's actually that's one of the quote unquote like big issues with the game right now. If you set your town up to make money, it'll just keep making money.
Yeah.
Like there's very little in the game that will push back. Like all your demands will go up, but nothing will really happen. Like your population will stabilize. You'll just keep getting money. A lot of people have actually said that's kind of a big issue right now. They need to make it so there's a bit more challenge in terms of things that are thrown at you as you're building out. Of course, if as you build out, you can expand too fast and ruin your city. In fact, there's another big streamer who has this massive city, like almost I think 500K people.
Really?
But his city's in a death spiral. Like he expanded too fast, so he can no longer recover. Like it's just slowly dying on a grand scale because he expanded out too much without accounting for his infrastructure, and it's kind of just this slow decline. That
what the hell are these on ramps that you're putting in?
Dude, okay. I tell you, there's some crazy things that wouldn't work in real life that work in this game. Like, it's kind of nuts. I've tried all sorts of different things, and some of the things that you would not think would work normally work really well in this game. The benefit of this game is your traffic AI is essentially perfect. So if you look in that thing there, you see I put 4 different on-ramps into there. Well, if they have to go to like the furthest one, they will take the last on-ramp. If they need to go 75%, they'll take the third on-ramp. Like it will actually spread out your traffic if you give them the option to do that. Now, on that same note, what really sucks...
God, you're still gridlocked after all this shit.
Oh, absolutely. It always is. But what really sucks is... and actually, you're just one of the biggest bugs in the game you're looking at right there on the screen. And it's the fact that cars will merge lanes right when they want to turn and not before. And it causes these crazy bottlenecks on multi-lane highways. It's really annoying. The developers have already said it's an issue, and they already have a fix on the way, which will really help. But yeah, the problem with the perfect AI, though, is if you have like the shortest distance between A and B, they will always take it. Like you can build them a perfect highway with no stops around the outside with all these little turnoffs, right? And if they use that, traffic would be perfect. But if you have that one little connector, every single freaking car will go down that little 1-lane connector trying to get to where he needs to go. And it's a mess sometimes.
Man, I want to play this game right now. It's got that addictive fucking shit that SimCity had, but SimCity was SimShitty. Like it was a terrible fucking game. It had 1 billion bugs. And now with like the mod support, I hope they get in like some sort of, or someone makes a good disaster type thing. Like that was the one thing that SimCity had that was awesome when it would go, like when a fucking volcano would just happen in the center of your town. It sucked, but it made for interesting moments. So yeah, I definitely, Cities is great, and the fact that it's what, $30 Yeah, it's 30. Makes it even a better game. Like, I'm probably going to pour a fuck ton of hours into that. And for 30, it's great.
It was good enough for the Maxis guys to see it and say, "Oh shit, we're done. Just shut her down, boys."
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Pour one out. Pour one out
No.
for Emeryville.
Yeah.
They're my neighbors.
Oh, were they? Oh.
Well, not
That was-
anymore.
I'm a Simant player, dude. I mean, like, I mean, it was tough. It was tough.
It's such
But
a
I
shame,
will
though. 2 bad games in a row. Like, just that's the thing, though. You're right. Like, SimCity was such a disappointment. Like, The Sims 4, like, it was just The Sims more. Like,
Yeah.
the thing about cities, though, is there much to do outside of the traffic stuff? Is it predominantly traffic?
There's like
or is
policies there. Yeah, I mean, there's a good amount. Like, you can make policies for the entire city. You can make policies for your districts. And
Nice,
then
I like that.
the other thing too, which is crazy, and for me is
Can you gerrymander
I don't
the rig votes?
maybe I don't know. I haven't gotten
Probably
that far.
could.
The thing for me that's like, it's actually a stressful thing, is that like unlike SimCity, you can grow. I think without mod support, you can have 9 of those grids, so 9 of those giant squares, and with mod support, you can go up to 25.
Oh, wow.
And getting like a second one is just like, I have no idea like, I just want to fill out my square and never have to touch anything else, just because I guess SimCity's like trained me to do that with their latest release. But now the fact that you can grow all that stuff, I don't even know. Like, you can put like 100+ hours into a single city. It seems like
Easily, probably a lot more. And that's just a 9. But another thing that I really like about this one is they allow you to compartmentalize industry, so you can actually have like forestry, farming, and these are like industrial sections that are making your town money that aren't just a polluted mess. Like,
Yeah.
you can do, and then you break into like the taxation and stuff. Like, it's deep. It's deep. There's a lot of fun in that game.
yeah. Zeke, anything else you guys been playing on stream?
Dude, I played a new game all morning.
What'd you play?
Storm?
Skyforge.
Skyforge. There's Stormforge.
The
Skyforge.
fuck
New
is
MMO that just
Skyforge?
came out. It's a new MMO that you play an immortal god, and it's an active target kind of actiony, very pretty. It's by the my.com guys though, so that has a few people worried. But it generally, it's pretty interesting. I'm actually gonna play it probably right after this too, because I'm leveling up a gunner who of course has a giant cannon and looks just completely badass. So, but it's interesting. It's interesting. Unfortunately, not really a big hit on Twitch. I've noticed that the new viewer ratio is very small, especially for a new title.
Most MMOs honestly don't do that well on Twitch for kind of obvious reasons, but
yeah, it's pretty good. On that flip side, though, good God, City's on Twitch. I haven't seen something like with that many new viewers in a while.
SimCity was the same way, dude. Back,
Yeah.
what was that? A year? No, was that 2 years ago?
SimCity fell off really sharply, though. Once
It did.
people
It
realized
did.
it was buggy and there was all that EA multiplayer BS, and I mean, they fell pretty sharply. Cities, however, is arguably like picking up speed. It's pretty wild how well it's been doing on Twitch.
And it's I
Great,
think
great game to start streaming in.
yeah.
By the way,
I think
out
it's
there.
the backseat effect. Honestly, I really think that's why people watch that game. I watch it to steal what other people are doing successfully. So maybe that's some of that too. Zeke, for you, pretty much Hotline, right? That's been
Yeah, Hotline. There's a couple of I can't remember any names, but there's a couple of more independent titles that I'm looking forward to, but I can't pull the names out of my head. I've got a queue of games that I'm looking forward to playing along with Skyforge. God damn it! I already
Skyforge. Yeah.
forgot the name.
That's Skyforge. That's it.
Thank you. Yes, Skyforge. I'm looking into that, but MMOs and me
Yeah, it doesn't. It's never really worked out for you in the past.
never has. Like WoW got me for a little bit, and then I've tried a couple since then, and nothing has really like grabbed me. But I'm more of the like a game I can start and a game I can finish if I want to.
Sure. Danny, what have you been playing this past week? besides
Apart from
Hotline?
Hotline, last night I finally got to play Ori and the Blind
Good.
Forest.
That's what I streamed. That holy fuck, that game is gorgeous, man.
Yeah, that first 10 minutes as well, man. That sucks.
Heart wrenching.
Yeah, it's really cool. I haven't played too much. I think you probably played a good bit more than me. But it's cool. I played on the Xbox One. Obviously, it's out on Steam as well. It's apparently coming to 360 at some stage in the future, but we'll see about that. But yeah, first of all, like it's just absolutely gorgeous. But
So good looking.
The review, we had that, Devil May Cry, the Enhanced Edition, and Hotline all got 9s on GameSpot yesterday. So suddenly, after having like no really great games, we just had 3 of them dumped on the same day.
This week is amazing because like Cities came out. I think the top 3 was Cities, Hotline Miami, and Ori were all top 3 on Steam last night. All fucking amazing games. Like this early on in 2015 to have that big of a day, and none of them were actually like boxed games, like actual physical games, is kind of crazy.
How are you finding it? I haven't played that much. Obviously, it's like one of these Metroidvania things where it kind of expands the more you play.
Yeah,
into different areas.
Exactly what I was going to ask. What do you think of it, JP?
It looks really good, like really like one of the best. I say this with a lot of weight to it. Like one of the best looking games I've seen in a long time, art direction wise. Like it is gorgeous looking. Play wise, like I think it's one of the things where it takes a couple hours to like get everything to where you really start playing the game. I've heard it's really difficult later on. One of the main mechanics of the game is that you can kind of create a save state anywhere, kind of. You have to have a resource for it, and you can just save right there. And a lot of that is because like the platforming is pretty difficult from what I can tell. There's a lot of like double jumps and wall jumps and stuff like that. The other thing too is like the enemies do a lot of damage, and you don't have that much HP. And there's a lot of just like one-shot death type stuff. So for me, training myself to constantly save with the game's mechanic was a little bit difficult. And I would do things where I would like fall back 10 minutes to where I was because I just didn't save. And so that was a little bit unfortunate, but it was just my fault for not saving as much as you're supposed to, I think. But from what I've read, like you're going to die a shit ton in this game. And it seems like it's going to be super challenging later on. But I definitely want to play it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and granted, keep in mind, this is running in... or this stream right now is 30 FPS. So the actual game, I was on PC, I was getting like 120 flat.
Did you have any frame rate dropping at all?
No, actually it was solid 120.
So that's a problem on the Xbox One.
Is it running at 1080p on Xbox One or 900?
I don't actually know, but there were some like... Just, when the game looks that good and runs that smoothly, it was running at 60 FPS, and then suddenly it was just like, it was pretty noticeable.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think the PC version might be the definitive one to play. But yeah.
As usual.
Yeah, as usual. I still can't get over how fucking good the game looks. Like, the opening, like you said, the opening 10 minutes, coming out of like being super upset and raged at Cities and like the chat like backseating, and going into this I was just like a complete mood change shift to just being like really 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 sad and very emotional because of this stupid fucking game that looks gorgeous. So I think it's $20 as well, so it's not that expensive. What's up, Kyle?
Are you going back to it, JP?
Yes, yeah, I definitely want to finish it. I've been told it's about 11 to 13 hours worth of gameplay, so definitely got to check it out. And I like, it's been a while since I've played kind of like a Castlevania-ish. There's really no similarities, but the way that you get different abilities, like I just got the wall jump right there on stream. I want to see all those different things and see how it goes. And I also just want to see more of the different environments, because there's a fire environment, there's a snow environment, then I think there's like a shadow environment or something. At least the first 3 places that I've seen or have been told to go. And I want to see what all that looks like, because everything I've seen so far look really cool. They do a lot of weird things with the foreground too, where they'll have like this. I don't know what he is. I don't want to know what he is, but there's like this spider thing that's like been watching me for the past, or the first like hour or 2 of the game. That you'll just randomly see like pop up in the foreground, and then he'll just go away, and it looks really crazy. So definitely want to check that out. That's $20 on Steam and Xbox One, but Steam's the definitive version. So
I was gonna play Skyforge tonight, but now I'm looking at this game and I'm kind of like, that seems relaxing.
Oh well, it's kind of relaxing, but some of the platforming and some of the deaths are pretty rage-inducing. It seems like very like pinpoint accuracy is needed sometimes when dodging a lot of the random monsters that are thrown at you. So. Don't go into it with like, oh, I'm just gonna relax too easily, because you might get kind of stressed out. Oh fuck, I just missed the stupid thing. We could show the little spider in like 1 second. We'll just wait for this. There's really nothing else that we're gonna be playing. Nothing else comes out. Is there any like Friday releases this week from like Nintendo or anything?
There's Bloodborne in just
That's
a week
next
or two.
week. Yeah,
Oh man,
it's Tuesday.
I'll wait for that.
There was a JRPG that came out this week that I might check out for some fucking god.
No one cares.
Yeah, it just looks. I don't know why I want to play it. I don't know why I want to play a fucking other JRPG. And then next week's Final Fantasy. XH. I fucking don't remember
Yep, that's it.
I don't remember
Nailed
the
it.
fucking thing. It's some weird title, but the only reason it's interesting is because the Final Fantasy 15 demo comes with it. So
They just call the next one Final Fantasy. Feh.
no one fucking knows. No one fucking knows. And Hardline is next week as well.
Yeah, there's a if you're on that Xbox early access thing,
Can
where
you
you
already
pay
play it?
$5, you can play it on Thursday. I think they've got it open for like 12 hours, but whatever.
Interesting. I'm curious to see how that will sell.
Yeah, it's a fuck. I don't know what to like. The single player stuff in that looks kind of a little bit
Oh,
hokey.
that's right.
We'll see
There's
if
a
it
lot of
comes
single
out.
player in it.
Oh yeah, they're going to be hammering that one home. Like it's like, oh, it's more diverse than previous Battlefield campaigns. It's a bit more like Bad Company, that last Battlefield game that was any good we made. But the multiplayer stuff looks like they listened to the community after that horrible beta after E3 last year. So we have a bunch of guys and girls in the office here who are like massive Battlefield 3 and 4 fans, and they haven't been happy with the last two, and they think this one's pretty solid. So sounds like it should be okay, hopefully.
Yeah. One thing that's awesome about it is that it runs like super fucking well on the PC. Like the engine that they've with the Frostbite engine or whatever, they've had so much time to hammer out that game and that engine that's the one thing that was redeeming about the game. It just ran super well, like 1440p, full maxed out, solid 120 frames plus, no droppage whatsoever. So
You just gotta hope that Origin servers, all that stuff, doesn't mess up because GTA Heist yesterday was pretty bad, but if you go back and play Battlefield 4 now, it still has problems.
Jesus
So
Christ.
you'd hope that it's kind of one bad launch week with another Battlefield game, and it's just kind of like all trust in that series is out the window in terms of the PC crowd anyway.
All right. Well, I think it's time to take our quick break because Zeke's got to go to the restroom. We've also gone a little long. No, I was throwing you under the bus. I'm sorry.
That's too late. I already have pissy pants and a couch.
Shit.
Thanks.
Luckily, you wear that diaper that you wear, so it's all good. It's a good point. All right, so we'll take this quick break. We'll come back, talk a little bit about news, although we've covered most of it, and then we'll jump into our topic of the week, media and Twitch. So we'll be right back, guys. Quick 3 to 5 minute break, and we'll come back with more drop frames. See you guys then.